Usually when I share with people, they go, they just automatically, so what do you do? I'm a pastor. Oh, right? They feel they're going to get struck by lightning or something. Some of us as Christians, and I'll include myself in this too, we just have a problem at times with sharing the gospel, the good news of Jesus. Sometimes we feel maybe very intimidated about sharing our faith when maybe a question comes up from one of our friends or one of our family members. And yesterday after the funeral, I had a number of opportunities just to kind of bring Jesus into the conversations. And it was great. And I'm just thankful for that. But sometimes we feel intimidated. I remember when I was younger, I get a kind of frog in my throat, or, I feel very anxious about sharing my faith. Or maybe we are afraid of failure, that we'll say the wrong thing. Well, if we say the wrong thing, just apologize, right? Apologize. And some of us are just fearful about things, right? I also see people, especially if you go on the internet for any time, especially on certain sites, it's like when you're sharing the gospel, you got to be yelling at people. And you got to be angry at people. And you got to put them down. You just, your only answer is, well, you're just going to hell. And they share that, but they don't share the good news of Jesus. Or some people say, well, that's not my spiritual gift. Well, there is no outreach or evangelism spiritual gift. Did you know that? In fact, the amazing thing about God is that, 65 to 70% of people, they've just done a recent survey of people, 65 to 70% of people come to Christ by family and friends inviting them into the church community. And did you know that today, people want to be friends with God's people first before they will take a step of faith and friendship with Jesus Christ? That's the way they come to Christ. The next 17% of people who have been coming to Christ, particularly in North America, come to Christ from other people in the church. That could be staff, pastors, mainly just leaders, who a friend brings them to church. Then they find out that they know somebody else within the church. And that particular friend has the opportunity to lead them to Christ. People do, very small percentage, come to Christ through the internet. Very even smaller percentage come to Christ through dreams. A very small percentage come because of the pastor. Isn't that interesting? Right? Usually when I share with people, they go, they just automatically, so what do you do? I'm a pastor. Oh. Right? They feel they're going to get struck by lightning or something. Right? But it's not about our gifts, it's really about practice. So let's say you go to a long distance race, and it's a marathon. You want to see who wins. You want to see who cracks the tape at the end of the marathon. How far is a marathon? How many miles is it? 26 miles. It's a long race. How many of you have ever done a marathon? Oh boy, you're not a very fit crowd. I don't think there's a hand up. Oh, there's this one. Good. Oh, thank you. So a marathon is 26 miles. So the person who wins cracks the tape. You get people. The crowd goes wild. But after things kind of calm down and they collapse on the ground, right? They give them some nourishment. You go up to them and say, you know what? You really have a gift of running. Do you think they're going to thank you for that comment? Not at all. I mean, long distance runners, it's not about giftedness. You know what it's all about? Practice. Discipline. Running. You got to run to do it. Right? Some of you need to run more, I guess. But it's all about practice. It's all about nutrition. It's all about these things going out there day after day, just practicing, running of all things. I hate running. The only time I want to run is when somebody's chasing me, right? And in the bush, I've been chased by stuff, right? Just as long as you're in front of everybody else, you're going to make it, right? But it's all practice. And did you know that go and share the gospel for kingdom impact is just practicing? It's sharing the gospel. And it starts with caring just for lost people. Lost people. Some of us fall into the trap of saying, well, you know what, those people are evil. They deserve to go to hell. Or, you know, those foolish people, well, they're going, but they're not as bad as the evil people. But then we got to get kind of funky about some things when we say, well, good people go to hell? Yep, they do. Because they reject Jesus Christ, and their salvation or their eternity in their thinking is based on their goodness, not on Jesus Christ. You might be in the room today and think you're going to heaven because of your goodness, because you compare yourselves all the time with all the evil people and all the foolish people. But you need Christ too. And it's all about just cultivating a conversation. My friend Gary Carter has a 9-word invite that goes like this. I would like to invite you to my church. I would like to invite you to my church. That 9-word sentence is all about just cultivating a conversation with somebody. Because when you say, I would like to invite you to my church, you're not demanding them to come or anything. It just invites a response. They might say, well, what church do you go to? Or, I used to go to church. And that just opens up the conversation, right? And what kind of church do you go to? What's your pastor like? Does he have a commercial airline that he runs? Or, you know, what's he like? And then the conversations get better as a result, right? I'd like to invite you to my church. Because you know what? People outside the church think they need to be invited in. Did you know that? Because if 65 to 70% of people are just waiting for an invitation, you and I have an incredible opportunity just to invite them into the house, you might say, for them to hear the gospel and be part of community. And they might say, well, what kind of church are you? All you have to answer is the way Jesus would answer. Well, just come and see. Come and see. Come and see. I'll pick you up. I'll meet you at the door. Come and see. You can sit with me, right? Just come and see. Come and see. Jesus did that all the time with people. Just come and see. Come and see. And people were drawn to Jesus as a result of that. And we welcome and link people. I see it happening all the time after church. I see people who find out about somebody and then they just kind of go over to somebody else who's maybe working in the same field or has the same interests, and they just welcome and link people together. It builds community. It's a powerful thing. See, we don't need to be evangelists. We need to be gardeners. Gardeners. Amen, amen. Gardeners, right? Where we're cultivating with people. It takes on average about 7 presentations of the gospel before someone even comes to Christ. But they need 7 encounters with people as well. And it's just about gardening, right? Cultivating, sowing some seeds. I sowed a lot of seeds yesterday, I'll be honest, with cousins and extended family members. Just sowing some seeds. And then there's a time to reap, because when they start to understand that the life they're living without Christ isn't really working that well, and especially it's not going to work in eternity, they start to see that there is a difference because this Christian friend of mine truly loves me and wants me to understand the good news of the gospel. Welcome and link, be gardeners, cultivate, to sow seeds in a loving way.